All right, Nick, let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, at this point, everyone knows a big add to the Dallas Cowboys, but I think the story goes deeper than people realize. This could mean a whole lot more than people are making it out to be. I think this was a really solid move by the Cowboys, just like every other thing they've done this offseason. But before we dive into that, I'm Andrew, that's Nick, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, Nick, as I alluded to, big move by the Cowboys. Addition to the quarterback position, Dak has gotten a backup, or is it? Could it be more than that? I think there's a possibility there. Something really interesting going on here. We've got a great cover, but let's jump on into it and we'll talk more about it on the other side. So, first, just to refresh everyone's memory, what is exactly going on here with the quarterback addition is Joe Milton. They were able to get him for a fifth round pick or they traded a fifth round pick, for Joe Milton in a seventh round pick. Obviously, Ian Rappaport reported Patriots are trading quarterback Joe Milton to the Cowboys in exchange for late round picks, draft compensation, new backup for Dak Prescott. I think this is a very interesting addition, but there's another tweet that was out there that I think allows more thought, allows more, what is going on here? Could it be something a little bit deeper than that? And let's jump straight into that as well. This is from Nick Harris over on X, and it says the Cowboys have been doing extensive homework on Milton as far back as January. Enamored with him during the 2024 draft process, Dallas didn't have a reason to take him with three QBs on the roster, where they probably shouldn't have at that point. That made a lot of sense. The intrigue remained, and they get a deal done a year later for the gunslinger. I think this is a key here. I think this is really interesting. The Cowboys at the time didn't have the ability, or really shouldn't have. It wouldn't have been smart to grab another quarterback with so many guys on the roster. Now, when they have the opportunity, they single in on a guy that they at least thought there was some intrigue there. I think this could be really interesting going forward. I'm curious though what your thoughts are, Nick. But before we get to you, Cowboys fans, in the comment section below, before you hear what we have to say on the matter, before we dive into it, let us know. Do you think there's a little more to the story here? Could the Cowboys be looking at more for Joe Milton than just being the backup quarterback? Or is he definitely just going to be a guy that slots in behind Dak Prescott? Interesting to trade for your backup quarterback. I think there's a little, added bonus there as well. But let us know overall, what are your thoughts on Joe Milton? What's his future like with the Dallas Cowboys? Let us know in the comment section below. But nonetheless, Nick, what do you think about this latest for the Cowboys?
Yeah, it's very interesting. So let's go into the Nick Harris research and comments there first. I think that's the most insightful. This is a Cowboys team that evidently in 2024, the draft process loved Joe Milton. But let's fast forward to today, right? The 2024 team had Mike McCarthy and most of his staff. Obviously, McCarthy is gone. It's Schottenheimer's staff. And if they still acquired Milton even after that big change, what does that mean? It means Schottenheimer specifically, just reading between the lines, really like Joe Milton. And there's a lot to really like. His physical gifts are incredible, right? We've seen all the time. And he had that game against the Bills, second and third stringers, that really excited people. I mean, in terms of what he actually brings, it's sort of what the Cowboys thought Trey Lance could potentially be, a guy with playmaking ability, with laser rocket arm, great physical tools. Obviously, Trey Lance, we saw him against Washington at the end of the season. It was a lot of okay. It was fine. It just clearly wasn't going to work. But it seems like the Cowboys are taking another bite at the apple here, trading one of their compensatory picks to acquire Joe Milton. I think it's a good deal in terms of that value. But what Joe Milton could potentially be for the Cowboys long term is interesting, right? So Dak Prescott will be the starter, obviously, in 2025. He's going to no threat there. 2026 too. But what's interesting is after the 2026 season, the Cowboys at that point could move off of Dak Prescott and save some cap space. Now, I'm not saying they will, but I'm saying after the next two seasons, the Cowboys will definitely be able to evaluate moving off Prescott and actually saving dollars. So the question is, bringing in a guy like Joe Milton, are you going to develop him in your offense? Are you develop him in the roster and see maybe after 2025 going to 2026, how good is he? And then after 2026, does he replace Dak Prescott? I mean, I think that's a very interesting analysis. It frankly needs to be made, right? You always have to have sort of a succession plan at the quarterback position. If you don't, Cowboys fans, of course, you guys know this, there was no succession plan post Trakeman, then they kind of fell into Tony Romo. But between those eras, right, that's 70 years from 99 to 2006, it was a lot of really, really bad. I mean, Clint Sterner, Quincy Carter, I mean, Vinny Testaverde, right, Drew Henson for a start, right? A lot of bad stuff there. So again, you don't want to have to rely rely on an undrafted quarterback from Eastern Illinois to kind of show up out of nowhere. You want to make sure you have a succession and developmental plan in place. And that's exactly what the Cowboys are doing here. And it's a smart approach. They tried Trey Lance. It didn't work out. People were critical that they gave up a lot for it. Like it was probably a little too much, but the mentality was correct. And now that they're getting Joe Milton here at a little bit of a discount, I think personally, I think Milton, a lot of people thought he was worth a third or maybe even a fourth. The Cowboys essentially gave up their comp pick for him. So again, not a terrible move by Dallas. So I think overall, in terms of value, it makes a lot of sense. And look, if they loved him in 2024 and most of the staff is gone except for Schottenheimer, it means Schottenheimer liked the kid, which is, I think, a good sign that he'll work well with what Schottenheimer's trying to do. And that kind of brings me to my final point here. One of the problems I hated with the Cooper Rush being a backup quarterback, and nothing personally against Rush, is that because he was sort of the Brandon Weeden level of quarterback play where, could read the defense, call the protection, and hit the check down, it makes it really hard to do things offensively, right? Teams will then play the run. Good teams will play the run. They'll double CeeDee Lamb. They'll make it just hard for you to operate and things like that. I like having a backup quarterback that offers a sort of unique set of physical tools. Let's take Joe Milton, who just has an incredible deep ball, incredible playmaking and scrambling ability, just laser rocket arm. If, God forbid, Dak Prescott has to miss some time due to injury, which he's done numerous times over the past 5, 6, 7 years or so, then you want to bring in a backup quarterback that forces defenses to kind of react and change and different. So obviously Dallas wants to run the ball more this season and rely on play action off of that. But here's the thing. Let's say Cooper Rush is your backup quarterback can't throw the football more than 40 yards downfield. If you're an opposing defense, stack the box, bring the safeties up, and just tackle CeeDee Lamb in space, and you'll be fine. But with Milton now being the backup quarterback, you have to be worried about 60, 70-yard deep balls over the top of your head every single day. You have to worry about his scrambling and running ability and playmaking off of that. It forces defenses to not just full-scale attack the line of scrimmage. It'll open up things, if unfortunately Prescott gets hurt. So there's a lot of really good things to like about this move. I think it's a great value play by Dallas. I think it's great succession planning by the Dallas Cowboys. Again, 2 years from now, they will be able to move off of Dak Prescott and actually save money. But it's also a good backup quarterback situation here as well, because again, you're bringing in a guy that actually will force defenses, if he has to go into the game, to react to him instead of being able to just attack. So overall, this is a really good move by the Dallas Cowboys. And again, to finally put a bow on it here, we know Schottenheimer liked him because he obviously liked him in 2024. The Cowboys did, and he's really the only guy left. So I think this is an indication here that the Cowboys not only got a player that was at a great value, that fits what they're looking for with long-term planning, the coaching staff, the scouting department already really likes him and thinks he'll be a good fit.
Yeah, and again, just to finish up, I'll say just a few quick things. But I really think Joe Milton brings a lot to the table. I love the point you bring up about now you have, it sounds silly to say because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but when you look at it on paper, it does. You have the X factor at the backup quarterback position, and that's something that's really interesting. Like I said, some of the best backup quarterbacks I think I've seen come into games are guys like Tyrod Taylors of the world that are, scramblers, mobile, have strong arm, can do a lot of good things. Did they work out as, long-term starters? Tyrod, he did okay. I think he was okay, especially in his time with the Buffalo Bills as a guy that was really interesting, did some good things with the Browns as well. But just having the X factor at backup quarterback, it brings a whole new level to a team. So now you can't, just like you said, Cooper Rush, Danucci, whoever it was coming into the game, not really fearing. But Joe Milton keeps you on your toes just a little bit. Like, hey, we can't just, stack the box. We can't. If someone breaks free, this guy has the arm strength to get the ball down there. So great move by Dallas Cowboys. Smart, deep thinking. Hopefully he has more implications. Maybe he can become one of the future, succession plan at quarterback. But I think right now having the X factor at backup, really great move by the Cowboys.